And this is WMNF Tampa. Stay tuned for True Talk.
Welcome to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 with Ahmed and Samar. I'm broadcasting live right now from our studios in Tampa. Well, a lot is happening, like every week. A lot has happened as far as the Middle East is concerned and Palestine. Mike Huckabee has been finally confirmed as America's ambassador to Israel. A horrible, horrible choice, in my opinion. This is a guy that goes around and says there's no such thing as a Palestinian and there's never been a Palestinian people, just completely erasing an entire people. The one thing that we often hear from anti-Palestinians, anti-peace, pro-Israel Zionists is that, Palestinians or Arabs don't recognize Israel's right to exist. You have Mike Huckabee and others like him that simply don't even believe that Palestinians ever existed, that it's made up. There's no such thing as a Palestinian. This is what they go around saying and believing and acting out on. And when it comes to specifically to Mike Huckabee is a Christian Zionist extremist. He is a believer that in order for Jesus to return, that the state of Israel has to be established. It doesn't matter at what cost, doesn't matter how many people they kill, it doesn't matter how much genocide, Holocaust, ethnic cleansing happens to those people, as long as that the state of Israel exists, that way they can somehow expedite the return of Jesus. This is how screwed up and how fanatical these people are, that they've been somehow misled to believe that Jesus needs the help of people like Mike Huckabee and other Christian Zionists to establish Israel at all costs. And, in another way, that God somehow needs their help to get something like that done, to return Jesus to the world. They believe in these, end of time scenarios where once the state of Israel is established, they believe Jesus would return. And then, the Jews that live there, if they don't convert and become followers of Jesus, they will be destroyed or they'll be killed or vanished or punished So in the end, they're not pro-Jewish. They're definitely anti-Jewish at the end. They're anti-Semitic. However, they're pro-Israel. How does that work? And that's something that Samar and I constantly repeat on the show. Being pro-Israel does not mean you're pro-Jewish. And you see this now, this convergence between anti-Semitic, white supremacist, fascists that are pro-Israeli. And somehow, pro-Israel or leaders in Israel are welcoming those relationships and that type of support. Because even though they know in Israel, the leaders there know what Mike Huckabee's beliefs are, they say, well, we'll get there at the end. We'll see what happens. For now, it's a marriage of convenience for mutual interest to eradicate and remove the Palestinian people off their land, and that they're doing. And Samar, who is a Palestinian American, who has been displaced from her native land, her family she was born outside, and is and somebody that constantly talks about that is my co-host, and she's with me now. Samar, you heard my rant about Mike Huckabee becoming the ambassador of the United States to Israel. How do you feel about that?
True talk with you, as always. I think we should interview a Christian Palestinian, because I posed the question to a Lutheran Palestinian who was born, I can't remember, but not in Jerusalem, but in a town in the West Bank. And I asked him about this, and he said, we as Christians don't believe necessarily in these prophecies or the way they interpret certain prophecies. You know how, for instance, Ahmed, in Islam, we have many different schools of thought, but you have like the mainstream school of thought where the belief of God is the one and the same for all schools of thought. They might differ on certain interpretations of, for instance, if it's lawful to shake a hand with a woman or not, little things. But when it comes to these things, the Christians of the Arab world, whether in Egypt or in Sudan or in Palestine in particular, they see these things as very dangerous and threatening, actually, to their churches. But Ahmed, my first introduction to this was from an American. When I came to the US, there is this patient of my husband who brought several books. One of them was Forcing God's Hand. Forcing God's Hand, and it's by Grace Halsell, Halsell. And it was one of the most fascinating books I read, Ahmed, and where I learned about these prophecies. And I asked a Jewish guy. I was on TV with him in an interview, and before the interview, I asked him, how do you make sense out of this? And he says, well, when somebody from that part of thinking, Christian Zionists tell me these things, I tell them, well, we will wait until Jesus comes and then we will decide. So they do know that there is this fringe thinking, which now is the ambassador to Israel, that exists, and they know how dangerous it is. But unfortunately, Ahmed, sometimes you have to work with the devil to pursue your policies.
But it's not so fringe anymore. This is
when Jesus comes back.
It's not so fringe anymore. This is,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not so fringe anymore. This is like the position of our government. This is the position of the United States government, where it doesn't seem like anyone in the current administration believes in the two-state solution anymore, which, by the way, they've been using for decades now. I mean, the one thing is, on one hand, they don't believe in a two-state solution, which means they only believe in one state, Jewish state, and no place for Palestinians at all. Before, their predecessors would talk about two-state solution, but in reality, they're acting towards a one Jewish-only state. Imagine, like, we would not accept that here in America to say that America is a white-only country or state. That
or for one particular branch of Christianity.
Right, or one specific sect of Christianity, because that specific, Zionist political ideology, which by the way, a lot of religious Jewish people reject and say that is not part of our faith. A lot of Jewish people that I've talked to say that the state of Israel, which is, by the way, established by mostly atheist, non-believing Jewish people, meaning they don't believe even in the existence of God. And most of the leadership in Israel, a lot of them, since its establishment, do not believe. They're atheists. They don't believe in God. They're ethnically Jewish, but they're not religiously believing Jews. Now, of course, there are those Orthodox Jews that believe in God, that are practicing and Hasidic and other sects. However, the people that established the state of Israel were not believers in God. However, they often, claim that God promised them their land, the same God they don't believe in, which is just crazy. No one hearing this should say anything about, Ahmed and Samar are being anti-Semitic. We're not. We are Semites ourselves. We're from the Arab world. Samar is a Palestinian. I'm Egyptian. By definition, we're Semites. We happen to be Muslim, and we respect and honor and the Jewish religion, the religion of Judaism, the followers of Moses. However, the people that are carrying out this genocide in Gaza now are not any of that. They're not practicing what's in the Bible or the Old Testament or the Torah. Of course, there are these verses that are in the Old Testament to go out and, destroy everything that breathes. I don't personally believe that that's what God intended. However, that's what they're carrying out. Another thing that happened, by the way, Samar, I don't know if you have any money in the stock market, but it's just on it's just on
this is
on like a roller coaster. People are having heart attacks because of this. Yesterday was supposed to be one of the biggest rally days in history. However, right now, opening up, it's already down 1,200 points. The Dow is. NASDAQ is down 4%, and there's a sell-off that's happening right after they said that, Trump put a hold on a 90-day hold on the tariffs.
The funny thing, it's not funny, but it is also causing trouble in stocks outside the U.S. So, for instance, I do have a very small stock, like actually my family, in a pharmaceutical company in Jordan, but they trade their stock in the British stock exchange. And that thing is going up and down, up and down, up and down, and without any particular reason except that whenever Trump says something, it really affects other markets. I am looking at our retirement. So one day it's in red, and one day it's in green, and I keep up, and it's really. I don't know what to say anymore, Ahmed. Because between Huckabee being is confirmed as is going to be the ambassador. A guy that negates the existence of actual people, that when he's like driving or going from one area to the other, or he might have somebody work in the embassy. He doesn't believe that this person exists. That this Palestinian doesn't.
Which is the ultimate form of racism, bigotry, the ultimate form of hatred. When you deny an entire people and say they don't exist. What do you say? These 6 million people that are within the West Bank and Gaza and occupied lands, and the millions of diaspora that are outside, the people that were kicked out and pushed out, forcefully displaced during the Nakba when Israel was established by force. These people already lived on the land. Who are these people? What do you
He's
say
gonna
about the Palestinians that are mentioned in the Bible? I mean, come
He's going to
on.
be interacting with them, Ahmed, because whether he likes it or not, the Palestinian Authority is there and the U.S. has relations with it.
They
The cleaning
think,
lady in the embassy might be a Palestinian. They do not exist in his eyes, and that's the guy who is going to represent America, the democracy.
no, he doesn't. He represents something else now. He represents something else. And by the way, the Palestinian Authority, he thinks these guys are terrorists. They think that these guys should be removed, that they shouldn't be in power. They don't believe Palestinians should be on that land at all. They think they're an obstacle to the establishment of something called Greater Israel, and that needs to be created and established in order for Jesus somehow to return, as if Jesus needs their help. Like, hey guys, help me out. I'm waiting for my return. You guys are not working fast enough. You're not killing enough people. Get them off the land as soon as possible because, their kingdom of God has to return. You see how ridiculous it sounds? And millions, I'm talking millions of Christians in our nation believe this. They didn't always believe that, by the way. They've been manipulated and misled. This type of ideology is recent. This Christian Zionism has not always been there. I mean, Christians have been for years persecuting Jewish people throughout Europe, in the United States. Jewish people have, and I'm not talking about the Zionists, pre-Zionism. Jewish people have been discriminated against. They've been kicked out, forced out of their countries. In fact, when they were forced out of their countries all throughout Europe, their native lands, they only found refuge in Muslim nations that protected them. Places like the Ottoman Empire, which is modern-day in Turkey, in Andalusia, Spain, where Muslims controlled that for 700 years. And it wasn't until the Christian Inquisitions that attacked Muslims and Jews and were able to take back or take over the land in Spain and Portugal, that area which used to be called Andalusia, that they had started attacking the Jewish people as well. Some of them pretended to be Christians, others left and went back to Muslim lands in Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, and they thrived. Most Jewish historians will tell you the golden age, the golden era of Judaism, of Jews throughout that time was during the Muslim rule. Sephardic Jews, Mizrahi Jews, other Jews. It wasn't until the Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern European Jewish community came up with Zionism and said, we need a country of our own and we're going to fight back. And then, it led to the establishment, and they chose to go to Palestine in a country. They said God promised us that land, even though those people were atheists. The founders of Israel and the founders of Zionism were atheists that did not believe in God, but used this religious rhetoric that somehow God promised that to us in the Bible. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. I know we have supposed to have a guest to talk about this, but just to tell you, Samar, just today, people are accusing Donald Trump of market manipulation because yesterday, before his announcement, of course, we know since last week the stock market has plummeted all over, not just in America, but all over the world. But right before he announced yesterday that he's putting a 90-day hold on the tariffs, prices started peaking. Meaning some people just started, the prices started going higher and higher and higher before his announcement. And as early as I think 9:30 yesterday in the morning, he posted on Truth Social, the same platform that he owns, social media, that it's a good time to buy. That's all he said, hinting to his followers, buy, and they started buying.
Why didn't you tell me, Ahmed?
I did not know. I'm not on Truth Social. And I don't follow him. So they said it's a good time to buy. And guess what? Buying they did. And then there's a video of him standing in the end of the day yesterday in the White House, in the Oval Office with some billionaires. And he says, this guy did pretty good today. He made $2.5 million. And this guy made $900 million in one day.
Imagine if Obama was the president and he was doing this.
Market manipulation is illegal. Insider trading is illegal, literally. They plummeted the stock market only to buy it low so they can bring it back up, and then they sell off and they make that much money. It's just like a heist. And
Okay,
people are just sitting there watching. Like, this is not normal. This is not normal. And, it's many
I don't
people,
think there is anything normal, Ahmed, with this administration. And I'm not saying this because I am pro-Democrat or pro-Republican, or it has nothing to do with anything except that really I do not have logical explanations of many things that take place in the White House. For instance, I think we might be able to play the part of yesterday or the day before when he met Netanyahu. Trump met Netanyahu.
Yeah.
And still he insisting on he's taking this amazing real estate. Like, my God, this is a country of thousands of years old. I mean, people ask me.
But he did say in the comment, he said, well, of course, and then Netanyahu was taking a softer tone, saying something like, well, of course, the Palestinians have to agree to it. No one is going to force them. They have to, they voluntarily leave. We just open it up. They have a different tune, but of course, he looks like he's lying.
But Ahmed, I want to tell you something. I have been to Gaza. Okay, my mom lived her life in Gaza. My uncles, I have cousins, okay, distant cousins because all of them had to flee. Okay, it's just sand and beach. It's not like mountains like Lebanon. And for instance, Lebanon is very, very, very unique because you can be sitting on the top of the mountain in the snow, and you are actually looking at the Mediterranean and people are swimming. It's a very tiny country, so you can see that. With Gaza, it's mom's land. There is history, there is belonging, but it's not a very unique.
It's on the water, right? It's on the water.
It's on the water. It has a great geographic location, but the way he is looking at it, as if he thinks it's Miami. And oh my gosh, I have a golf course. I can have a golf course on the Mediterranean. And something put it in his head, or he had a dream, or he was hallucinating or something. But it's not like Switzerland, where he would be so dying to buy it or take it. Or
looks
you know
like
what I'm trying to say? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's a beautiful area for the Palestinians, for people who belong to the land.
Yeah, but I mean, if he demolishes everything and rebuilds it, and you have, I don't know how many kilometers or miles it is on the waterfront of the Mediterranean, it's something like maybe 25 miles.
Not even that, Ahmed. It's not even that. I mean, if you look at the Red Sea and the Mediterranean and the north coast in Egypt, it's 600 times nicer, and the water is better and more space.
Well, there is all that natural gas off the coast of Gaza.
Exactly. When we look at natural resources, that's a different story, and he's not talking about he's just talking about a real estate. No, it's not. There's nothing unique about it from a real estate point of view and vantage. Okay, it's not like hills and mountains overlooking the Mediterranean. No, it's flat. Okay, little water resources. The soil has been destroyed and needs rehabilitation, and the water needs rehabilitation. It's the gas, but he's not saying that. Huge difference. If he says these things, Ahmed, then people will start to realize this is a colonial project.
I was correct. I looked up how long is Gaza's coastline. It's 25 miles, about 40 kilometers long.
Yeah, not big, not that big.
It's not huge, of course, compared to,
Egypt, for instance, or Libya.
Let me see. Yeah, Egypt.
Libya. I think, I'm not sure if Libya or Egypt has the longest location on the Mediterranean.
Well, I mean, he's used to flatlands. Florida is flat, so, maybe developing that. But again, But the other thing during the press conference, or I don't know, I have the link, but it's kind of 6 minutes, so I don't know which parts.
Start after 6:06, Ahmed. That's when actually he starts talking about Iran and then he moves into Gaza. But when he's talking about Gaza, he's constantly saying killing, killing, killing. Like, who is doing the killing?
Yeah, he's not. The guy that's sitting next to him is doing the killing because Netanyahu, and has a smirk on his face. However, one other thing that he keeps mentioning is how he talked to the hostages, and the hostages, he asked them, hey, did any of the, Hamas captors, were they kind to you at all? Did they show you any type of love or, something? Did they, maybe give you a wink? Or it was bizarre how his criteria for their treatment is based on, how those guys were treated by their captors, and of course ignoring completely the tens of thousands of Palestinians that have been just annihilated, including 20,000 children, many of whom have lost so many, their heads are blown off, their bodies are in pieces, and the ones that survived, tens of thousands that lost limbs. Of course, he's not exposed to those people. He's not talking to them. No one is bringing them to the White House because they're trapped inside Gaza. But it's just bizarre how he gives so much preference to the Israeli hostages who have been released, most of whom, by the way, have said that they've been treated fairly, well, and they look like in good health. I think only a couple of them look like they lost a lot of weight. Many of them either had the same weight or weighed more. And I even saw some videos of Palestinians in Gaza who are suffering a lot from malnutrition and hunger. And they were commenting on seeing how healthy the hostages that were released, how their hair looks so shiny and their skin and their weight. And they were wondering how they themselves, these are people in Gaza, Palestinians that feel a little jealous. How did this group Hamas take care of these hostages and, under these conditions, and average person in Gaza cannot find food to eat. And they're saying they're taking better care of these hostages than they're taking, better care of us. And so it's definitely not how it's being depicted, but this is the narrative that keeps circulating in the media.
Ahmed, if we want to, let's just remind our listeners that they're listening to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 FM, and my co-host Ahmed Bedier and myself, Samar Jarrah, are discussing the latest that is happening in the Middle East, as well as, I should say, the White House, because, we could have hours and hours of just analytical talk about the things that are being said about the rest of the Arab world and Iran, for instance, about, I think the talks will start very soon. But Ahmed, if we want to compare apples to apples, you're talking about the hostages that he keeps talking about them. What about the Palestinian prisoners that they were released? How did they look? Most of them are skeletons, and they have been tortured. And there has been several investigations about sexual abuse and sexual rape by objects to men and women, physicians. And I was hoping that Dr. Nidal will be joining us, but he told me he's going to be in between. He's a internist in Dearborn. I was hoping that he will be with us, Ahmed, because the genocide that is going on is not only targeting the people or the prisoners in Israeli jails, but also the medical staff, clinics, doctors, even ambulances, shooting at ambulances, and medical workers. So there is so much that Trump can be talking about, because, for instance, with the ambulance being shot at and killing of I think 13 medical workers, CNN, Sky News, BBC, these people who usually whitewash the crimes of genocide and are very picky with their language and never mention who killed the 18 or the 10,000 or the 50,000. They never mention Israel. They could not not to report on the medical workers that were literally shot at, buried
Yeah.
under the ground with their.
We can play that, by the way. I have that report. Because
Can
it's just
you?
shocking. Yeah, it's shocking that if they didn't find that video, it was a video that was captured on one of the people that died in their pockets on their phones. Otherwise, the narrative of Israel that, these were vehicles that were moving suspiciously with no lights on. Clearly, the video shows the opposite. Watch, here's the report.
And one thing, Ahmed.
Actually, the report that you said is just Sky News. Is it Sky News or CNN?
No, this one I sent to you is Sky News, but Sky News, which is usually extremely anti-Palestinian, but like you said, the footage is there. But before we do that, Ahmed, the Palestinians were telling the world,
right?
Look, there is something that happened there, and we found them by chance because no one is answering because there is this particular father and son who work. The father wasn't doing well, so he told the son, why don't you cover my shift? So the father knows that his son went to that area, let's say. So he kept calling his son. Then he's decided to go and look for them, and then they found, as if like a huge area being dug and undug. Mm-hmm. They buried the ambulances themselves.
Wow, covering up the entire crime scene. Yeah. So it's not only just, they didn't take the bodies out.
No, that's
and
why
bury them. They buried them with the ambulance.
So when the Palestinians started asking questions through the Red Cross, they said, we covered the bodies because we were afraid that the dogs and vultures were come and eat them. And then they said, okay, so why did you bury the ambulances? And there was no answer until these footage that you're going to show, some of it, people are going to listen to it, reached New York Times. And I think they could not
had no choice there. They
had no choice.
They had to. And then, but yet, they don't clearly say who did it. This is what's so frustrating. So I'm seeing more and more of these reports of Washington Post, New York Times talking and showing sufferings and the death of Palestinians. But the headline's always missing something that's very obvious. Who did it? They say things like Palestinians died or Palestinians killed. In worst day, whatever, but they don't say that Israel did it. It may be buried inside deep in the article, but it's not in the headline. However, when it's the other way around, it's always Palestinians, Hamas, Muslim. They identify who actually carried out the crime. But here is the report, basically. Of how the new footage of aid workers killed in Gaza and this is what they say, contradicts Israel's account of deadly attack. It's a contradiction, not a cover-up, not a crimes against humanity. It's just really, really sad. Here it is.
Workers in Gaza that contradicts the Israeli military's version of the strike on an aid convoy. The footage obtained by the New York Times and verified by Sky News was discovered on the mobile phone of a paramedic who was found along with 14 other people in a mass grave. It shows that the ambulances and fire truck that they were traveling in were clearly marked and had their emergency lights on when Israeli troops hit them with gunfire. Well, Israel originally said the vehicles were advancing suspiciously without headlights or emergency signals. Well, our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, joins us now live from Jerusalem. So, Alistair, has there been a change in what the Israelis have said about what happened here?
We are still awaiting a statement from the Israeli military. I understand one is being worked on now and will be issued later today. But the video obtained by the New York Times, part of which you just saw, was taken from the body of one of those medics killed and was filmed on his mobile phone. Now, this incident happened shortly before dawn on the 23rd of March. A convoy of Palestinian Red Crescent ambulances and one fire truck was traveling on a road just north of the town of Rafah, which is in the south of the Gaza Strip, and they were going to look for colleagues of theirs that had gone missing. And they see a car that had diverted on the side of the road. They then pull over too, and contact was lost with them shortly before 7 o'clock that morning. It was 5 days before their bodies could be recovered, and they were found buried under the sand in a mass grave. Now, the Israeli military initially said in a very confident statement that they did not, in their words, randomly attack these vehicles, and they blamed the vehicles for not having coordinated their movements with the IDF, saying that it was an operational zone. Investigations by our own data and forensics team suggest that it was not an operational zone at that moment, and actually evacuation orders for that area were only issued an hour after last contact was heard with the Red Crescent vehicles. The IDF also, and this is the crucial bit in relation to this video, said that those ambulances were travelling without their lights on and without any sign of them being emergency vehicles, and so therefore they were suspicious. But the video obtained by the New York Times very clearly shows that those ambulances had their emergency lights flashing. And the clip we're going to show you next is the moment that they pulled to the side of the road. And I should warn you, it is also the moment when the Israeli military opened fire on those paramedics, and you hear one of them reciting the Shahada, the Muslim prayer of death, effectively saying, "Forgive me, mother, this was the path I chose to help people." Well, this video was shown to the United Nations Security Council yesterday, we understand, and was passed to the New York Times by an unnamed diplomat. The New York Times have obviously done their own verification on it, but so have we, and we've used satellite imagery and aftermath footage as well.
Samar, that was a report by on Sky News, not very friendly to Palestine. They're known to be a pro-Israel outlet owned by the Murdochs, and reporting about New York coverage in the New York Times, and the video that was posted by the New York Times that was passed to them, another pro-Israel publication, and capturing the final moments of one of the paramedics. Fortunately, he actually documented this on his phone. They found the video on the phone in his pocket inside the ambulance, which was buried with him and the entire ambulance under the ground. Imagine how much you have to dig to be able to bury ambulances to cover up a crime of murdering these paramedics. And his final moments when he's saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, basically translates to, I declare that there's only one God and that Muhammad is his messenger. This is the declaration of faith that Muslims say and are encouraged to say when they're on their deathbed or passing away, as their final moments, is to declare your belief in God. And when you say that, you're believing in the God, the same God that created Adam, that created this world, that created Noah and Jacob and Abraham and Isaac and Jesus and Muhammad, the only God. So it's not a different God. And, you know, the correspondent said, he said it's the Shahada, which is a declaration of death. It's not. It's a declaration that you're a believer. Because there is a saying that Muhammad, peace be upon him, had said that whoever's final words are, there's no one worthy of worship except God, or there's no deity except God, Allah, the one true God, then that person will go to heaven. But it's so sad. But in addition to that, he's also crying out to his mom, saying, "I'm sorry, Mom, forgive me." This is the path I chose to help people, being a paramedic. So he was crying out to his mother as well in his final moments as these bullets were, you heard how many bullets were just being shot at them. It's just like a shooting range. It's just unbelievable.
And just knowing, Ahmed, that you are being like you're going to be dying, and you know one of these bullets is going to hit you. And I think it's very clear. I'm not sure if it's in this particular audio, but like he starts his voice wavering. And when, you know, we say, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah, so you say, but he was, La ilaha illallah. He was like, you can actually hear this young man who decided to be a paramedic. And to think that none of this would have been shown on CNN or shown anywhere, the only reason is because we were able to get the footage. But now I think we're joined by Dr. Nidal Jabour. I know he's very busy because he's an internist and working in Dearborn, Michigan. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Nidal. Hope you can hear me.
Alaikum salam. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for inviting me. And sorry for the delay because I'm in the middle of another function and another panel in Wayne State University, but I'll be happy to be with you for a few minutes.
Okay, that's wonderful that you can make it. You are a co-founder of Doctors Against Genocide. What is this organization, if you can tell us about it, Dr. Nidal?
Doctors Against Genocide is an organization that was founded and actually conceived even before October 7, because we realized that as a medical community and the healthcare community, we have an obligation to protect life beyond the bedside and beyond the hospitals. We realized that the politicians are failing their job of making peace in the world and protecting the lives of people. And we as a medical community swore an oath to protect life and to do no harm and to be the defenders of the people, the defenders of the weak whenever we can. And we realized that we can save more lives by solving conflicts peacefully, by solving conflicts before they escalate into violence and mass murder. And in medicine, we always value the concept of prevention. Prevention saves more lives. And if we can save few lives by sending a medical mission here or medical mission there or doing a surgery here or there, we can save thousands and thousands of lives by solving conflicts, by making peaceful resolutions, by advocating, by lending our voice, pressuring our officials, our governments, our politicians to do the right thing, to prevent genocide, stop war crimes, crimes against humanity, stop wars. And unfortunately, the genocide that we have been witnessing in the past 18 months is a great proof to the concept that the medical community should mobilize, should use their voice, their pressure, their governments to stop this live stream genocide that the whole world have been witness to in the past 18 months. And we think that if we can have a ceasefire, we can save more lives more than anything else that we can do. And we think a ceasefire, ending the genocide, holding the perpetrators accountable is the most consequential, the most urgent, the most important medical intervention. And that's why we are advocating for this.
Doctor, I want to ask you, as a group and as a physician yourself and somebody who follows the news, isn't there a particular targeting of the healthcare sector in Gaza, the kidnapping of doctors and the assassination of doctors and nurses, and the targeting of clinics, hospitals, ambulances, and the latest killing of the medical workers? Is there a systematic genocidal attempt by Israel to wipe out the medical facilities in Gaza?
Yes, absolutely there is. And this is what makes this different from a regular war. That's the difference between a genocide and a war. In war, usually the armies fight each other, but they do not attack deliberately the healthcare infrastructure, the healthcare workers, or the civilian infrastructure because they only have military goals to achieve. But when it comes to genocide, the goal of the genocide is to destroy the society and to destroy all institutions that maintain the society, whether it's the universities, whether it's the schools, whether it's the civilian infrastructure, the water infrastructure, all the healthcare infrastructure. So the attack on the healthcare system, the hospitals, the doctors, the healthcare workers, the paramedic is intentional, is deliberate. It is meant to destroy the hope and to destroy the people, the same people that are there to save the children, to save the wounded, to save the victims. There was a saying, I think, from the time of the war in Syria that killing a doctor or a healthcare worker is more impactful on the society in a negative way than killing 100 soldiers. Because killing doctors, killing paramedics is not just killing the person himself and his expertise, it's also depriving the society of their services, that these people will not be able to help many victims to come, will not be able to help the society and treat the wounded and treat the sick. So it is intentional, it is deliberate, it is part of the genocidal system to destroy the people in the society who help the society survive, whether it's the healthcare system, whether it's the professors, whether it's the intellectuals, because the genocidal entities, genocidal armies know that once they get rid of these people, the regular people who don't have the skills to survive or to rebuild the society will not be able to do so. And that's why it will be easier for that genocidal country and genocidal army to get rid of whoever is left. So the attack on the healthcare system is to kill hope and to kill and to deprive the society of those people who are there to help them. And we hear this many times from our people in Gaza, especially in the north of Gaza. They say many times that we always look for the lights in the hospital. As long as the lights in the hospital are on, we feel little safe. We feel there is some hope that we can stay. And if we get bombed, at least there is a place for us to go to. But once...
Dr. Nadal?
Yes,
Sorry about that. But once the lights go off, we lose hope. And we move on.
Dr. Nadal, I know
I'm
this
sorry,
is
doctor,
emotion.
that you have to go through this pain again because you are very closely monitoring what is going on. So I can understand your sentiments and your tears. I know my co-host wants
Yes.
to ask you. Go ahead, yeah, Ahmed.
Thank you for being with us, Dr. Nadal Jabour from Doctors Against Genocide. And I know this is an emotional time, and I can tell from your voice how this is having an impact on you. You're joining us from Michigan, where you're participating in another talk. But in the background, I heard some ambulances, and I wanted to ask you about this recent attack on ambulances in Gaza, where the ambulances were attacked by the Israeli military, and not only that, they were buried, the people that were killed inside and the entire ambulance underground. And it wasn't until they were able to find a video that was on one of the phones of the people that were killed that they showed the truth about what happened. But all along, Israel had said that these people were moving suspiciously, that they were not coordinating, the ambulances did not have lights on. What do you make of this? What's your reaction? I mean, something that's so blatant, so obvious, and proof of what Israel is doing. How are they getting away with this? First, what's your reaction to it? How are they getting away with this?
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. And yes, this last mass murder of the paramedics is just another example among thousands of examples of the crimes that Israel has been committing over the past century on the Palestinian people, and with the mass murder and mass slaughter of the civilians, of the children, of the healthcare workers in the past 18 months. This is only happening because of the impunity that the United States and the West is providing to Israel. We know that everything that Israel is saying is wrong, is a lie. They know they are lying, but they know that they will get away with it. They have been able to get away with genocide for over the past century, and for them, this is just a continuation of what the United States and the West have enabled them. Israel is a country above the law. They are committing a genocide. This genocide is aided and abetted by the United States, which makes the United States itself culpable into this genocide, which makes the United States itself in violation of the Genocide Convention that they are signatories to. It puts all of us as Americans on the wrong side of history. When our government's administrators put the interests of the lobbies, the interests of the APAC above the interest of the American people. When they cut the basic services on our people here, they cut the Medicaid, the Medicare, the programs for the poor, and at the same time send billions and billions of dollars to commit crimes, mass murder children overseas. These politicians are failing us here at home and failing us abroad. It's making every American culpable and party to this genocide. We as healthcare workers, as Americans, as proud Americans, as real patriots, we refuse that our country to be participant to this genocide. We are calling all our colleagues, the healthcare system, the medical organization in the United States. We are calling all the American people to speak up, to do all what they can to stop this disaster, because we are better and we can do better. And our politicians don't have our best interest at heart, neither here in the United States, as we can all see, or abroad. The deliberate murder of the paramedics would have gone without much attention if it was not exposed by the video, which is also yet another proof that everything Israel is saying is a lie, is a Hezbollah, is part of the propaganda, is a part of whitewashing a genocide that's been committed, live streamed from the victims themselves over the past 18 months. It's the first live streamed genocide in history. Not speaking up against this genocide, not doing everything we can to stop this genocide makes each and every one of us legally culpable. Not speaking up makes us complicit in the genocide. This is not just a propaganda. This is not just a call for us to become activists. It's our legal obligation, not just our moral, our legal obligation. According to the Genocide Convention, every individual, every human being, every official, every professor, every school, every organization have the legal obligation to speak up and to do everything they can to stop a genocide. And anyone who stays silent is
complicit,
is legally culpable. Thank you.
Dr. Nidal Jabour, we're running out of time. How can people get involved with your organization, Doctors Against Genocide?
Thank you. Yes,
we only have like 30 seconds.
Yeah, they can join us. They can sign up on our website. They can follow us on our Instagram, doctorsagainstgenocide.org. Once they reach us, once they sign up, we have weekly webinars. We have doctors from Gaza and colleagues weekly that we hear firsthand stories and eyewitness accounts from our colleagues. Please, everyone, join us. Please, everyone, try to do everything they can to help stop this mass massacre. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Nidal Jabour from Doctors Against Genocide. And that concludes our show for today. Samar, we have to keep an eye not only on the stock market, but we have to keep an eye on this genocide that is just, it's beyond words at this point. The amount of people that are getting killed. and the amount of suffering,
losing body parts,
and just the starvation. No, food has not gone in for now like something like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This is unacceptable. That under our watch, that people, children, would just die of hunger. It's unconscionable that we would watch this happen and somehow our government is supporting it. This is True Talk on WMNF Tampa. The Scoop is next. Have a great